Well, he's my all-time favorite comedian, and I'm not just saying it because he's on the phone with me right now. His name is Rodney Carrington. He's going to be at the Show Me Center on Saturday, and you can bet he's going to have a packed house in tears laughing the night away. Good morning, Rodney. Thanks so much for coming on with me today.
Good morning, Glenn. Dreams do come true. I'm coming back to Cape Girardeau, Missouri.
That's right. Hey, you've been here before. In fact, last time you were here, I went to the show, and I got to say, I laughed and laughed and laughed. It was the best comedy show I've ever been to. I'm not lying. I'm not just saying it because I'm talking to you right now. You are my favorite comedian. I love going out to see it any chance I get.
Well, I appreciate that, Glenn. You should aspire to bigger things in your life. It's the only advice I give you. But yeah, you know, I've always had fun coming to Cape Girardeau and the Show Me Center, and it fits right along with one big song that I do right at the end of the show called "Show Them to Me." So it's a perfect fit. It always has been.
And we won't get into what that song's about, but if you don't know, just come to the Show Me Center on Saturday and you'll find out, right?
yeah, that's for sure.
Or you can put two and two together. But no, Rodney, you've been doing this for a really long time. How long have you been doing comedy now?
I've been doing it 31 years. I remember, when I first started, I had gone down. I'd worked with Steve Harvey in Baton Rouge at a place called the Funny Bone, and I was opening for him, obviously. And Steve wasn't well known at that point in time, but he really did have it going on. And I lived in a apartment with him for about a week while we worked down there. And I remember every night I had lied to the club owner. He asked me if I could do 30 minutes, and all I could do was 7. I told him, yeah, I can do it. And I stood up every night and I tried to stretch that 7 minutes into 30 minutes. And Steve Harvey told me, he said, every night I'd walk off stage, he'd go, I don't know how you do it. And I said, what? He goes, stand up there that long with nobody laughing, and it'd be all right with you. And then he went on to encourage me, told me that I'd be all right. But at the end of the week, the club owner, he paid me $400 and told me I was terrible, said I needed to go back to Texas and find some other way of making a living. And I remember driving back home that evening, 6 hours, I thought, he paid me $400 and I was terrible. I wonder how much money he paid me if I got good at that. And, it's funny, that one decision changed my whole life forever, because that stemmed, about 4 or 5 million records sold, and went on, did television, and got to do a movie with Toby Keith, and just kind of done all kinds of stuff. So it's been kind of a whirlwind. It's been fun, and I enjoy it now more than I ever have.
I was going to ask you about that movie, so I'll just ask you about it right now. The movie was called Beer for My Horses. I watched that movie. I'm a Toby Keith fan. I'm a Rodney Carrington fan. I got to say, you acted circles around Toby Keith in that movie, Rodney.
Well, I don't know anything about that. I think what I did was more conducive to that kind of genre than maybe what it was for Toby. But I thought Toby was just, of course, you know how Toby is, big old tough guy. He just takes himself serious, and we did it. Somebody asked me if we was going to do another one. I think no, he's got more money than he needs. I don't think he's going to do anything. I don't think he needs to do anything. I'm still out there. Divorce took care of that. I'll be working till the day I die.
Well, Lord willing, because we want to see you doing it forever. And as far as Toby goes, I'm just giving him a hard time. I'd never say that to his face. I don't have the guts. But he did a good job in that movie. I was just playing with him. Do you have any good Toby stories, by the way?
Well, I ain't seen Toby in a long time. The last time I saw him, he took me down to Cabo when I stayed at his house. And Toby likes to tell stories, and he'll tell stories until the sun comes up. But, we went to a bar, and I said, hey, listen, I'm going to go back to the house. I'm tired. And he'd been bragging all along about how he had this $25,000 German Shepherd that would chew your face off, that guard dog. And throughout the course of the evening, I kept telling him, I'm ready to go home. He kept saying, no, you're going to stay here and drink beer with me. I said, no, I'm leaving. And I finally left, and I went back to the house. Well, I had forgot that dog was in that house. And I opened up that door, and there it was. And I thought, oh, God, I'm fixing to get eaten to pieces. And that $25,000 guard dog just about licked me to death all the way till I got to my bedroom to go to bed. So, not much of a story, but I mean, I told him when he, the next morning at breakfast, I said, that $25,000 guard dog, you might want to see about getting your money back. I think that's the friendliest little guard dog I've ever seen in my life.
He might have overpaid for that, huh?
I think that's when you realize you've got just too much.
Yeah, he's doing all right. Now, it's been a few years since I've seen your show. You've been doing it for 31 years. How much has your act changed over the years, or maybe the better word, has evolved? You have different life events going on that I'm sure inspires your comedy. How much has it, changed or evolved?
Oh, it's completely. I mean, now being from the special a couple of years ago, it's completely turned over. I mean, life is ever changing. And the people that come see me we live parallel lives. A lot of these people I started seeing when I was in my 20s, and now we're in our 50s, which tells me that they've done no better of a job than planning their life than I did, which is why we're all still getting together every other year. And for that, I'm very grateful. And I always look forward to it. And that's what people, I think, most of the time when they come up to me, they are just they're just talking about how we share a lot of the same life stories, and we've been through a lot of the same things. And I enjoy it more now than I ever have.
And the special you're talking about there, your Netflix special, you got a couple of them on Netflix that people can check out. I would recommend it because they're hilarious. You're all over Spotify as well. You got a new album out. And it's called Get 'Em Out.
Yeah, I had 6 songs. It was just it's an EP, basically. It was just 6 comedy songs that I had written. I didn't have anything to do with. And I came to Nashville and recorded them with Steve Dorff, the producer that's done a lot of other stuff with me. And we put them out. They're just doing real good. I mean, you know how records are anymore. It's more about streaming. And I always, if I got something to put out there, I just kind of call it just another log on the fire. Lets people know that I'm still alive.
Hey, I'm still here.
Yeah, I'm still out here doing it. But yeah, the shows are bigger than they ever been. This past year, leading up to even now, it's been crazy. And I think I keep waiting for people just quit coming, but I pull up and it's just packed, and I'm just looking forward. We got a few tickets left this weekend, and we're hoping to just close her down.
Yeah, Saturday night at the Show Me Center, and your fans love you, Rodney. I mean, we're going to keep showing up as long as you keep showing up. So I think the reason for that is the way you just you relate to people. You tell stories up there, and every one of us is thinking, yeah, we've been there.
Yeah, well, that's what it's all about. I mean, the only thing you can't get, if you just tell them the truth, you can't. That's what keeps it original, is your story. I always tell people, I had a young guy starting in his 20s. He said, well, what would you recommend that I do? And I just say, you got to tell your story. You got to tell your truth. And that's what makes it original. And that's what it's been. I've spent the better part of 31 years doing the same thing. It's just that life is ever changing. My kids are grown now, and I'm 51, and when you get to 51, you kind of know. When you were 14 and you heard somebody was 50, you thought, man, that's old. When you turn 50, I mean, you could start bleeding out of your rear end and be dead in 3 days. It's just not that's one of the realities of getting older, is that it's just a different deal. And being single ain't much fun either at 50. It's slim pickings. It's like walking up on a avocado bin. There's 7 left, 5 are rotten, 2 are suspect, and you just end up leaving with an onion. There's not much out there, I'm telling you. So if you're married, hang on. It's almost over. That's what I'd share with you.
I will do that. I appreciate the advice. We're talking to Rodney Carrington. He's going to be at the Show Me Center on Saturday. You can find tickets to the show by getting on to showmecenter.biz or stopping by the box office there. You're a comedian, Rodney. We talked about how you're an actor. You're also a pretty darn good singer. You mentioned your songs on your album. I always wanted to ask you this. Did you start out wanting to be a country music singer? I mean, because I think you could have made it.
No, I didn't start out doing that at all. In fact, when I was doing comedy, when I started, I bought a guitar at a pawn shop in Columbus, Georgia, and I remember I taught myself 3 chords, and I took it on stage, and I was so proud of myself. I showed the audience I knew a couple of chords, and the club owner up in Nebraska at that particular place told me, son, if you're going to take that guitar up there, you might want to think about doing something funny with it. And then I started just writing little bitty ditties, just really short songs and things like that, and I'd tell stories in between them, and then it just kind of gradually and slowly became part of the show over the years. So, somebody asked me the other day, how come you don't sing for a living? I said, well, I do sing for a living, but there's a million people that want to sing for a living, but there's very few of us that are out there doing what, there's a handful of guys that do what it is I do, where you go out there and share stories and sing songs, original songs. So I kind of have the best of both worlds, in that regard.
And it's not just funny songs either. You got some serious songs that they're kind of heartwarming too. Camouflage and Christmas Lights is one that comes to mind. I know you got a couple others too, though.
Yeah. I mean, I mix it up. I'm not. There's no. If it's something that I feel like it's important that I want to put out there, I've always been free to do stuff like that. And the audience has allowed me to sing a serious song. And there's been several occasions over long periods of time where I'd sing a serious song in the show, something that I'd wrote that got good response. And, it's just about, I look at it like this. It's like a little movie. You just share stories. Not every moment, where in the beginning when I started in my 20s, I thought laughter had to come every 4 to 8 seconds. I was always I wanted it to be really quick and fast. And now, as I'm older, I'm starting to understand that I feel like subtleties and sometimes quiet are just as impactful as the laughter. However, the show right now, I just it's like a comedy stick. I just go to town. I mean, I was in Biloxi this past weekend in front of 3,000 people, and I mean, it was just crazy. I'm really happy with what's going on right now. This show's really fast and furious, and I'm going to bring it on a Saturday night. You can bet it.
Well, I can't tell you how much I'm looking forward to seeing your show again Saturday night. Show Me Center. Some seats still left available. ShowMeCenter.biz. And I've been looking forward to talking to you all week long ever since I heard I was going to get the chance to interview you. I want to know, what's Rodney Carrington like when he's not on stage?
Well, I mean, my kids are grown. I don't see them much. And whereas typically if I'm off or something, I may play golf. But I don't get out like I used to. I don't get out and go running the roads. I mean, if I'm not out mowing or on the tractor or doing something, I mean, I'm at the house. I'll watch an old movie and cook a little dinner and go to bed, just like anybody else. But here lately, in the past 4 weeks, I've just been out driving my truck on the road, just like I did when I started. Last year we were going from place to place, jetting from one spot to the next spot to the next spot. And after I left Vegas in December, we did 14 straight shows out of there and then got through the holidays. And I left, had some construction going on at the house, and from an ice maker, it started leaking in the kitchen, went down in the basement, and all hell broke loose. And I just got in my truck, and I've been driving for the past 4 weeks, and I've been loving it. I mean, I'm getting a chance just to kind of spend some good quality time on the road, and I've written a couple of songs, and so I'm like anybody else. There's nothing different about anything.
Get to see the country, get to just enjoy life, huh?
Yeah.
That's very cool. Something I'd love to do myself at some point. I think I got just one last thing for you, Rodney, and that would be, tell me about some influences you might have had in the comedy world. Is there anybody that, when you were coming up, you looked at and, kind of admired?
Well, I don't think that comedy wasn't something that I aspired to do. I think it found me. I think whenever I was in college, and I remembered I didn't know what I was going to do. I had done all the manual labor that anybody could ever want to do from the time I was about 14 on, from roofing houses to hauling hay to all the other things that any young fella grow up doing. And and when I got into college, I got into a theater class and started studying that. And then I did a play where people laughed, and I thought, well, I got in trouble for ad-libbing some lines in a play, and then I found a place where they had a little comedy night, and I went up and spent 15 minutes, and people laughed, and then I spent a year trying to figure out what I did the first night I went up, trying to, because it wasn't easy. There's nothing easy about it. In fact, when the guy told me that, which like when I went down the first time I'd ever worked for anybody, and I met Steve Harvey, I watched him get up there, and for an hour, he just destroyed people, and I couldn't even. Of course, I was 20 years old. I mean, that was. But it really is a. There was no one person or one particular thing. I mean, when I was a young man, when I was real little, I was inspired by Elvis Presley. And he was one of the first entertainers, or the only entertainer that really, where I go, wow, he really. I looked up to what it is that he was able to do. It has nothing to do with what I do for a living, but that was one of the things, one of the performers that I looked up to. But as far as comedy, I don't watch comedy because I do it for a living. I won't even go to a comedy movie because I can kind of see the jokes coming, and I'm not entertained by that,
Well, we can definitely relate to that. I mean, especially the part about not wanting to do it because you do it. I mean, I stopped doing sports for that reason because I want to be able to enjoy sports, so I don't want it to be my work. And then you talk about Elvis Presley. I mean, hell, I just became a big fan of his within the last 4 years. I discovered how awesome he is, and I'm a biggest fan as anybody now. So it's pretty cool how couple of guys a generation apart, and here I am 2 generations removed from the people who came up on Elvis, and he's inspiring both of us.
Yeah, it is. It was something else. It's like it doesn't have to be something you do for somebody. He doesn't have to do the same thing you do to be inspired by what he did. I went to Graceland just this past week. I stopped there, and I was just amazed at how much of an impact he's made. And he's been gone as long as he had been, and as many people that were there visiting his home and seeing what he had been able to accomplish. His story, pretty neat.
I just went for the first time a couple summers ago and loved it. Rodney, I love talking to you. I could talk to you all day, but I know you got places to be and we got music to play, so I guess we'll just wrap up the interview right there. I thank you so much for coming on with me today. I hope you have an awesome show. I know you will. Come Saturday night at the Show Me Center.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate everything.
Rodney Carrington, comedian, actor, author, singer, songwriter. He is a jack of all trades, and he really is a funny man. Check out his stuff on Netflix. Listen to him on Spotify or iTunes. Wherever you download music is where you can find it. His new album is called Get 'Em Out. And again, there still should be some tickets left. ShowMeCenter.biz for the show Saturday night. And Kate Girardo.